Welcome to the Smart CEO Smart Chat. I am Kyra Hardwick, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode will be an incredible influence on the way that you do the work that you do every day. So whether you're a smart CEO, working from home, working from the office, simply navigating your life and family, whatever it is, today's the day you made a great decision to tune into our podcast and get this smart talk. So let's dig in.
Welcome back to yet another episode of the SmartCEO Podcast. I am your host, Alena Conley, the current program manager for the SmartCEO Capacity Builder Accelerator program, and also the Senior Director of Coaching and People Development. And today I am joined by one of our very own cohort members, Randy Gatewood. He is the chef and owner of Randizzle. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Alena, how's everything going? I'm glad to be on. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. We want to know all about your entrepreneurial journey. So how did you even get started? How did you decide that you wanted to become an entrepreneur versus taking a more traditional route? And then tell us more about your company.
So for me, like Randizzle's food truck is actually not my first go around in the entrepreneurial side of things. And I had another company prior to that years ago that was called Moody Blues, but blues to us was denim. And it was Moody Blues, a denim boutique, a denim society. And the whole entrepreneurial mindset, I've always had that even growing up at an early age, not knowing that I would be one, but it always intrigued me how a lot of other businesses got started, and seeing successful other businessmen, no matter what the business was, I was always intrigued by it. Randizzle's came along solely just because the other industry that I was working in, I was in the wine industry. I was selling fine wine, and I have this crazy infinity for wine. Like, I'm a super wine connoisseur, and no one really even knows like that side of Randy either, but we'll get into that another time. But like, I was working for a fine wine company, and I got a new boss that me and him just did not see eye to eye on it. We couldn't get along. I really didn't understand some of the tactics and some of the things he had brought along with him as far as us as a group, my division. And so I just decided one Sunday that I was not going to work there anymore. Randizzle's had not been created yet. I had an idea of maybe it was going to be a food truck, restaurant, something, but I had no idea what I was going to do, or even if I was going to do or launch Randizzle's food truck. And so I called the division president that Monday and called a meeting for the following day, and I put my notice in. And we all left on good terms. Everything was great. Even though the issues I was having with my boss, I just told him that it was just time for me to go. My time was up. It was time for me to go on to something else. And 5 months later, no restaurant experience, no food truck experience, none of that. But 5 months later, I decided that I'm going to launch Randizzle. And the journey, there's certainly been a lot of some ups, some downs, some roller coasters, a lot of emotions and things like that along the way. But this is where we're at now, and this is what it's come to. And it's been one of the most successful burger trucks. I feel like not only just Arizona, but we could expand it anywhere now that we've created the demand for this particular burger, and people fully understand that Randizzle's is not just a burger, it's more of an experience. And I got to bring a friend by, and I got to tell my other friend, and I got to tell my family, and you got to go try this truck. And that's how we built it, just organically through word of mouth and through getting it in as many people's hands as we possibly can. But the whole entrepreneurial mindset, like I said, it just comes from me at least having a little experience in it, but then also me believing in myself enough to understand that I've been around it and I understand it. So you don't have to know everything on how to do it. You just have to have the belief that you can do it. And as long as you take the first step, I really feel like the universe will take 2 steps back towards you. And I really felt like, for me, like that's like my testimony, that I decided to go into a business that I had no experience in, nothing in, but it's worked out amazing. But I have paid attention to the details and everything that it's taken me to get it to this point. It's the possibilities of what it could be and where we could go and where is it going to go. But that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur is it's just you saying, hey, I believe in it enough to take the first step. And like I said, the universe takes 2 steps back towards you, and then everything just starts to fit. It starts to mesh. And that's how I've built this brand. And like I said, I'm overly ecstatic and thrilled to see where it can be in a few years or where it could be in several years down the road.
Yeah. I'm really curious to understand where preparation met opportunity, because if you're a wine connoisseur, I'm a burger connoisseur. Okay. Literally, when I go to cities, I Google best burger in town because that is like my favorite thing. Like I love burgers. I love experiences. Like you said, when there's like a great burger restaurant, my preferred restaurants are when there's just burgers on the menu. Like that's their specialty. If they have a shake and some fries, that's fine too. But they're like burger people, right? And with that being said, though, we know that this is like a saturated market. Restaurants in general have been known to be like the top 3 hardest businesses to run or most challenging to keep open. And so I want to understand, coming from the wine industry, coming from selling jeans, how did you decide, okay, I'm going to take the risk and jump into one of the most saturated industries, one of the hardest industries, and I'm going to go for burgers, food trucks during a pandemic? I know you might have started right before it, but talk to me about what went through your mind and then ultimately what made you pull the trigger on this particular food item.
I think part of it was I knew that leaving the wine industry that I was going to have to do something. And I didn't want to go to work for another company. And so I figured like this is the best chance for me to take a chance on myself again. Because by the denim boutique and the clothing boutique was the same thing. I started that boutique just like I started Randizzle's. But it was one of those things where, like I said, I just decided that I didn't want to work for someone else. And even though burgers and tacos are the most competitive category out there, probably next to maybe barbecues a close second or third, I've really had to take a look and say, hey, Randy, like you can get a burger anywhere. Why should they come to Randizzle? And what's going to set Randizzle's apart from all the other burger places out there? And how do you get a grasp of a category that so many people already have a hold of it? But I don't think I really thought about it as much in the beginning. I didn't think about how big and how great and how good everything could be until we started to have this crazy growth. You hear people talk about, oh man, that's the best burger I had. And it wasn't just a specific burger. It was any burger we had on the menu, someone would try it and say, hey, man, that's one of the best burgers I ever had. So when I started to feel that, that's when I started to gain momentum in a sense of, okay, we're doing something right. But now how can we even elevate that experience from just the burger to where now it's about the hospitality, it's about the customer service, it's about the interaction of being able to actually interact with Randy, myself, who's actually Chef Randizzle, who's always on the truck cooking burgers and who's always accessible. And by making myself, more accessible to the customers and always being around and trying to create, like I said, this hospitality, along with a burger that from the quality standpoint, I feel like that's where some of the other burger places missed it at. From the bun to the lettuce to the beef to even down to a specific diced onion we use to a specific brand of mayo to it was really going underneath what everyone else was doing and then figuring out the details of how can I elevate this burger past what someone else is doing. And so I really feel by adopting that strategy, I was able to do that. I was able to take something that you can get anywhere else, but create a demand for something on this side so that some of the others become obsolete. And I didn't invent the burger. I reinvented the burger. And that's what I tell everybody.
Burgers, though? Why not like chicken sandwiches?
Because when I looked at the chicken sandwich market, there was a lot of people out there and I really felt like I could jump into that market too, but I'm going to create the burgers first. And the chicken concept, believe it or not, is crazy you asked that, Alena, because I have a fried chicken sandwich concept that's it's on the back burner. It's waiting Gizzles is the top priority. Q Food Group, which is the company, my holdings company, which everything will go under, that chicken sandwich company may come about also.
Okay.
How can I elevate that chicken sandwich? Because now that we've been successful in the burger world and we've had such a splash on that side of it, I really feel like the customers would give me a chance that no matter what I bring to the market.
Yeah.
Now, I still have, they trust me. So I still have to win them over with that chicken sandwich or a wood fire oven pizza concept or a breakfast, lunch, and dinner cafe. There's a lot of things under my umbrella that I would like to bring to the table. Randizzle was first. And the burger market, like I said, for whatever reason, I just decided to go there because I do have an affinity for burgers too. But I also felt like the details of if I could capture the customer on the details, then I could win that market over. And then last, who doesn't like a good burger?
Right.
So it was going to also broaden my options as far as who I could cater to, being the 5-year-old who only wants a plain cheeseburger, but also the 80-year-old who still wants to enjoy a burger and a quality burger. And so that's a big reason why I chose burgers was, like I said, it was one of the most competitive categories out there, but it was also, if you don't like a good burger, whether or not it's veggie or no cheese, or if you don't, and if you do a great burger, then you can appreciate the creativity behind what we also bring to the menu as far as a burger.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like there was a lot of market research driven analysis that went into how you elevate what you have going on. So saying, okay, what's out there? And then how can I remix it and put my spin on it? And I think that to me is so essential because you'll hear people say, so many people are already doing that, right? And it's, so what? There are 1 million people selling hair, and guess what? 1 million people are still making $1 million selling hair if there's demand. And I think it comes down to, these elevated experiences, the customer service, the shipping times, whatever that thing is going to be to create that brand awareness or the relationship with the customer. Or in your case, it sounds like there's a huge brand identity in terms of you as the face of the brand. I think that's just something that for those CEOs that are listening and are questioning, am I getting into something that feels saturated? It is something that people should still consider, right? It's like you can always do things your way as long as you have the vision and you're thinking about it differently. So I love that. Now, when we think about the food industry as a whole, I think that the landscape is so broad. I just got off of interviewing one of your cohort members, our vegan chef, Matt, and she's traditionally trained. And I was talking to her about my favorite show, The Bear, and just the art and science of just culinary school and all of these things. But when you think about food truck, from catering to brick and mortar, just when it comes to the restaurant industry, there's so many different routes that you can take. But I remember the first day you stepped into our session, you were like, I want to open up my brick and mortar. That was something that you instantly put into the universe. So talk to me about, why does that feel like the next best step for you in terms of scalability?
So I really feel like, for me, the food truck has done all of the heavy lifting. Had I not started Randizzle's the food truck, I'd probably be a little less skeptical about going into a brick and mortar. But the food truck has done so much of the heavy lifting. And in essence, I was able to take this food truck and go out and beta test my product to everyone out there to see if people would like it, if they would latch on to it. And the response has been astronomical as far as, what people think and say and talk about. And I've had people asking me for 2 years, man, this guy should have a restaurant. Some people who've tasted the burger for the first time, they walk up to the window and ask me, hey, why are you not in a restaurant? So those things, they all add up over time. And then I look at how we've been able to build the brand from a truck. And so now I tell people all the time, we're not opening a new restaurant. I'm not opening a brick and mortar, a new restaurant. We're expanding. The restaurant is it's an expansion of what we've been able to do on the truck. And the truck has given us 90% of what we need to know and do to go from a truck to a brick and mortar and keep everything that we logistically do over here. We're just going to have to broaden it and add a lot more pieces to the puzzle so that we can flow efficiently. But the truck, it's not going to be much different from when we go into a brick and mortar, with the exception of more people, more things going on. But it's given me the confidence of knowing that we have this built-in customer base. And it's a huge customer base. So if I could duplicate that now in the first brick and mortar here in Arizona, and then duplicate it once or twice again in Arizona, now we're off to Texas. Then we'll circle back to Vegas and California and all up to Pacific Northwest, and 100 locations is what the goal is, 90 in the US and 10 in Canada, because I really fully believe that I can put that burger up against anyone now. And not just because I own it, I created it. I'm not biased in that regard. I'm biased in that regard because the customer has told me how good the burger is.
Right.
The response from the media has told me how good the burger is. So I feel like that's what makes it, the transition from a truck to a brick and mortar, it makes it a lot more comforting for me, knowing that I've done all this work and we're 5 years into the food truck now. And so now, let's go out now. Let's take that next step out into the universe. And the universe is going to take 2 more steps towards me when it comes to opening brick and mortars as well. But I want to touch on something real quick, Alena. You said earlier in reference to everything being saturated, because I really feel like that is the number one crusher of entrepreneurs who have goals, who have ideas. They look at someone else who's doing what they're doing, and this other person is doing it so well, and they're like, I can't be them. Okay. Right. And so like when it's saturated in that regard, that's when you have to use what a lot of those people who are successful, go and study them, research them a little bit, find out what it is that's making them be successful. When you really go back and think about, take like Apple computers, for example, as big as they are and as huge as they are, Steve Jobs, like, when did he really invent anything outside of the Macintosh? Steve Jobs took what everybody else did, Microsoft and all these other companies, and he made it so much better that these other companies, a lot of what their products became obsolete. And so like, when you think about any market, from burgers to whatever it is you're doing out there, why not take something that you fully believe in and that you vest in and figure out a way to make it so much better? I certainly did not create the hamburger, but what we've been able to do is we've been able to tap into a market in a significant way where a lot of other people may not have challenged the burger market. And that comes with a little bit of growth. It comes with a little bit of experience. But from an entrepreneur, they have to understand that just because there's so many people successful at it doesn't mean that you can't be one of those people who now can be added to that group of successful people in a category that's oversaturated.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for saying that. But I have to come back really quickly to the brick and mortar, because I would be remiss if I didn't get like a Smart CEO exclusive, and you tell me if it's too much. But I thought about what it's going to look like. What are the vibes going to be like? What can we expect in terms of like atmosphere?
Oh, no, would love to share some of that with you. So we're going to be basically a bar, kitchen, series. It'll be a lot of bright colors, a lot of windows, a lot of glass, some greens. It's just going to look, the truck, of course, itself is black and red, but from a brick and mortar standpoint, we're not going to get away from the logo of Randizzle's and the word print and everything, but it's going to be clean. It's going to be really clean. It's going to be really modern. We're going to offer, the tacos are coming off the menu.
They are.
Randizzle's is going to be strictly a burger bar. But the tacos aren't going away. We're going to bring them back under Randy's Taco Shop. And Randy, with an I, that's named after my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Whom I don't want to get too deep, too emotional, but I lost Randy a little over 3 years ago.
Oh.
And so she's a big inspiration. She's a big driving motivating factor in what I do and how I operate. Randizzle, she's one of my biggest fans. Someone worked with me who, like I said, she's a very integral part. And that's the young lady on my Instagram logo, also standing with her arms crossed, posing as if she's me. But the tacos will come back under Randy's Taco Shops by Randizzle, so that we keep the tacos on the menu as well. And so I didn't mean to go too far off task, but when I mentioned earlier how there's been some obstacles, there's been some things that really touch my heart. So that's one of the biggest obstacles that I've had to overcome. And not just, as Randizzle, but just life in general. But that's what I'm looking for. And I can't wait to, when we come out for our capstone event, I'll show you guys some images, show you guys some stuff, some things, what it's going to look like and what we hope that it looks like. And it's an exciting time, Alena, for me, but it's also bittersweet with everything that we've had to go through and everything we've had to endure on the other side of Randizzle. But I can't wait. I'm looking forward to, like I said, being able to take that next step from a food truck into a brick and mortar. And I only believe in doing things one way. Like, I have to be professional about it. I got to be first class about it. And so I believe that's also why it's taken me so long to even open a brick and mortar, because it can only be done one way. I can't limp into the ball game and expect to have these huge goals and limp in as if I'm just barely trying to make it here. I know for a fact that we belong here in this category. And so I want to come into the category like we belong here, like we can compete with the other big boys out there, being the Shake Shacks, the In-N-Outs, the Zen Burgers, all those burger shops out there. I want to come in like we belong. And so being in this program too has given me more inspiration and more motivation of knowing that I can do it. It's not a matter of if it happens, it's just realistically a matter of when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of us can relate to our businesses being very deeply personal to us in some way, shape, or form. And I talked about this a lot. One of the things that I love about the Smart CEO program is that outside of supporting businesses in scaling and strategically designing their businesses, we also have what we refer to as our whole CEO approach, right? Which is that mindfulness component that we always go to in the beginning, which is really just to make sure that the business is not just the only thing flourishing, but that us as business owners and as CEOs, we're also having a flourishing life and some level of well-being. And when you think about some of those things that are unique to our program, whether it's the whole CEO component, the collaboration component, the bankability, the supply chain readiness, what was something that you feel like you really took away from our model?
I really feel like bankability was really high up on my list too. Supply chain readiness was up there as well. And supply chain readiness, I've talked about that to a certain degree to potential investors and people in my field, because I feel like that's the one step down the road that if I'm supply chain ready, when it comes the growth and expansion at the levels I'm talking about, growing and expanding, like, I have to be ready on that side. That's the one side that we talk about, going from one location to 10 locations to 20 locations. How can I make sure that every location gets the right product? How can I make sure that every location gets everything they need so that burger tastes the same in Los Angeles as it does in Atlanta or New York or somewhere like that? And I really feel, I don't think I was as aware of a lot of things that it takes to be supply chain ready until we had that segment and we went over that segment with you guys. It really opened my eyes to saying, Randy, man, you thought you was ready, but you're not ready. And I think it's been at least one eye-opening moment in every segment that we went to that I thought, man, like, Randy, I thought you were ready and you're not ready. And so being able, and then the collaboration part, unbelievable, of the people who now, we have access to, who you all have given us access to, who we can talk to and help grow our business in any capacity, whatever any of us cohorts whatever capacity we want to grow into, you guys have given us the resources to learn more and understand and help hopefully do it without making some of the mistakes that some of the other people has made. So I really feel like every phase of what we went through, I had that eye-opening moment with it, thinking that maybe I knew enough about that particular entity, but I didn't. But I also have no problem. That's the one thing that if I'm not knowledgeable in a certain area, and I've heard Kyra mention this before, but I've always adopted that mentality, is if I'm not brilliant in an area, why would I take on that area? Why wouldn't I just find someone who's knowledgeable and brilliant in that area? That's only going to make me stronger.
Yeah.
But like I said, just about every entity, but the supply chain readiness, I'd have to say that was one of the ones that really stood out with me. And then close second behind that was the bankability.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, say someone is looking to apply in the program 6 months from now, and they're listening to this podcast interview to check us out. What would you say about the program that you think they should know when making their decision?
I think they should know that the program is a commitment to yourself. Okay. It's a commitment to you saying that I want to become a better entrepreneur. I want to become a better business owner. I'm willing to put myself out there, maybe in some areas that I was a little uncomfortable with. I really feel like the program, if 80% of the people out there who have ideas, who are looking for confidence and things to go on to that next level, if 80% of the people went through this program, I would probably think that 70% of them would go on and launch those businesses and launch those companies and at least make an attempt to do it. I'm not saying all of them would be successful, but I think it would be that push that 80% of the entrepreneurs need out there to get going on their own, or to take that leap of faith, or to give them that confidence to believe in themselves. So I think that's the biggest point that I can see. I was so excited to be a part of this program, and I felt like I was a little bit more seasoned and ready than I thought, because you guys have illuminated me to things that I was not even close to being ready for. And I've been fairly successful in some areas of the business world, but to go through a program like this, and then now to have your network even expand even more of people who have your best interest too, like that is something that you can't buy that. That comes with you being able to have these opportunities. And like you said, when opportunities meet preparation, most of the time you're going to capitalize on those opportunities. So I would recommend this program for any of those entrepreneurs, or even people out there who already have had businesses like myself, who have been entrepreneurs. I would still recommend it to them as well, because you're going to be enlightened in so many things that you didn't know.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. This has been wonderful. We have truly enjoyed having you as a member of this cohort. From day one, I have been saying that I'm excited about trying that burger. So we only have where that goes down. So I'm getting my stomach ready. But thank you so much for joining me in this conversation today. Thank you for y'all who are tuning in, and we will see you guys on the other side. Thank you, Randy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alena. I look forward to talking soon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Smart Chat. Smart CEOs, you are on your way. We hope this episode has been fantastic for you. We are excited that you were here. So here's the deal. Follow us on all of our social media, look up the Kyra Company, and join us on all of our private platforms. We invite you to join our private Facebook group at the Smart CEOs. Jump in, join the conversation, and learn more about what we can do every day to grow our business and grow our community. Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited that you were here. Once again, I'm Kyra Hardwick, and you know it. I was thrilled to bring the Smart Chat to you. Take care. Talk to you soon.